Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Ed, for inviting me here today. Today I'm going to speak a little bit about my small business, SAME, and my story as to what motivated me to open SAME. So SAME is Soul and Mind Evolution. It's an acronym. And we provide empowering and meaningful programming to all ages and to all abilities. So there are a few packets that some of you may have. This is a PowerPoint presentation. And if anyone wants this emailed to them, I'm more than happy to do that. So also you can visit my website, soulandmind.com, fill out the contact info, and I'm happy to mail it to you as well. So, as a small business owner, I wear many hats. I'm also a wife, but most importantly, I am a mom. My daughter Gia, she is on the spectrum, and it was in her story that led us to SAME. So, when Gia was 18 months, she had a regression. And for her, what that looked like was she lost her speech, she began to jump on her tiptoes, she began to hand flap, and she began to melt down, all within a week's period. That week, I had actually had surgery. So I left, had surgery, I came back home, and when I came back home, she was not the same little girl that I had left, right? So my husband and I, we called the pediatrician, we got her into the first available appointment Monday morning to know what was the cause of the loss of all these abilities. So we went to neurology, and there the neurologist told us after maybe 30 seconds of looking at her that she was autistic. So, and I had suspected that because, you know, as any caregiver mom, I all of a sudden got on the internet, right? And I'm Googling and I'm looking up, and it pretty much I had suspected that. But so, and we were, you know, certainly okay with this, right? Okay. So at that moment, I was a mom to a really awesome special needs little girl. That's all I meant. So with that, if anyone is familiar with, you know, autism and being on the spectrum and all that type of good stuff, one of the things that Gia did was she went inward, right? So in an effort to maintain a bond with her, and to kind of get inside her world, I did what I call instinctual parenting. So everyone has their way that feels right to them. And for me, one of the things that we did was we danced. So I have a dance background, and so I would pick her up, she was that little at the time, and we would dance together. And it was really good for her in a lot of different ways. You know, it gave her input that she was seeking. And I started to use it in conjunction with her therapies, and I would start to find ways to elicit verbalization and all this kind of really neat stuff, and it really became our mode. And then, so as our life progressed in a little bit of a different fashion, we became part of early intervention and all that good stuff, and I was invited to teach a class. So I taught a class of dance to a bunch of caregivers and their littles, and it was really that point moving forward that SAME was born. So from inclusive dance, I then opened up an inclusive sensory center at the Finger Lakes Mall, and we did all sorts of fun stuff, right? So all ages, all abilities. So that's inclusion, right? It's not just for special needs. That is a really big misconception about, you know, SAME and Christina, is that, oh, you're with the autism community, you're with the special needs community. No, we're all together, right? That's what we're doing, we're all together. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when we went through a really dark kind of period when I didn't really know what to do with Gia, right? Right after she was diagnosed, and she had these regressions, and she was melting down. And I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with a meltdown, but they are traumatic at first, right? Just because you feel powerless, right? So and during that time, I really had a difficult time finding opportunities within the community to meet, right, and to socialize, and to where I could bring Gia safely, and if she were to have a meltdown, that all eyes were on me, and that can be really difficult. Now I don't care. All right, so now you might have seen us out, all right? She might have been sprawled out somewhere, but it's part of our life, right? So, when I created Same Sensory Center, it was a safe space, right? And we were just bringing together information and knowledge to all caregivers, all kiddos, everyone, right? So that once people have the information, a lot of that stigma is removed, and things become a little less scary, a little less intimidating. I say, quite honestly, that before Gia was diagnosed, I had very little information. I didn't know all that I know now, but what I did have was empathy. And that's a big thing, right? And that's huge. So we foster that at SAME, empathy, kindness, and information. So when you have all of that together, that's where you promote, and that's where inclusion happens. So that is Same Story, Gia's story. What we're doing now, so in the midst of that, I started Same Academy. And at that time, it was a half-day toddler preschool program. And what we're doing now is mostly virtual. So, but it's a little bit different, okay? So it was preschool age, now it's for all ages, all right? And it is learner-centered, so it's quite different from maybe what you see in the community. So we are learner-centered, and we focus on joyful and meaningful learning, and the learner is at the center of their learning pathway. So again, just being a special needs mom and so forth, I really wanted to make sure that Gia was thriving, and it's not just for Gia, because everyone learns differently. So, and Gia how she learns is she is cognitively extremely advanced. She can read well beyond her years. She can do math like you can't believe, but her language is not always functional, right? Because that's just part of how her brain works. Her emotional regulation, it's spotty, right? It all depends on sensory needs, anxieties. Mental health is a whole other part of, what we could talk about, but we're not. And so when she was in preschool, the curriculum was boring. And for her, when things get boring, she zones out. And that means she's no longer engaged, right? So I have created an opportunity for all sorts of children to learn at their own pace in a way that works for them. So that's Same Academy. What we also do, supportive services. So this can be one-on-one. It is one-on-one right now with COVID. And then we also have, I'm still doing the integrated dance, and I'm actually, it's from any age, but primarily right now it's preschool and adults. Those happen to be the two greatest needs. I do community outreach, I do community programming, I talk about community inclusion. When I'm in businesses, if people are open to the conversation, I'm happy to tell them how their space could be more inclusive or how it could be more inviting. I talk about mindfulness a real lot. And we promote that, and it's part of the curriculum. I talk about sensory integration strategies, because that can be what is sensory, right? It's our 5 senses and how we experience the world. And for some people, that's disorganized. So, that can be one of the leading reasons why my daughter has a meltdown. So if you see us out and, Traffic is difficult, it's super noisy for her. Lights can be really difficult in the stores. Going through the checkout can be very anxiety building for her. And the more anxious she is, it's like this. This is the analogy I always give. When you're in a car and you're close to, maybe a fender bender or something of that sort, what's the first thing you do? You turn the music down, right? It's the same thing, right? She's in crisis, so all of a sudden everything is super loud and super sensitive. So, I work with that, and one of the main components of doing this type of work is that I make it applicable to everyone, right? So then everyone has an understanding, because we all have different needs. Some people like the smell of perfume, some people don't. Some people are more sensitive to lights, whether it's fluorescence, some people aren't. So you don't necessarily have to be on the spectrum to be able to relate to sensory needs. Parent education, compassion care. I'm big on being in partnership with families and empowering families and caregivers. That's really important because, that's where a lot of individuals and children are really getting the crux of their learning, is really at home, right? And we're non-judgmental, so, sometimes families just need practical strategies. Sometimes they're burnt out, all right, because being a caregiver, whether it's, during this time of remote learning, whether you have a special needs child or grandchild that you're caring for, it's exhausting. Or maybe even I have done workshops on this where we all get to a point in our lives where it could be a spouse, it could be a partner now that we're caring for. So we get burnt out. So I talk about strategies for that as well. If you look through your book, you'll see that I have some slides on some of the different workshops that I've offered. One of the things that we do once a month is called Super Sips, and this is super fun. So it's for siblings of special needs, and it's giving them an opportunity to connect and feel that they have a space of their own as well, because when you are a special needs sibling, the attention naturally goes on, that one or sometimes several other siblings in a home that need a little bit more extra attention. So then you have that one kid, right? Or maybe a couple kids that need their own time. So we have Super Sibs, and they are meeting virtually as well. Another thing that we have that is really neat that I started is Same Sorority. So this is an inclusive social club, and it is exclusive to women, but we focus on empowering and supporting one another, and it's inclusive, so it's all ages, all abilities, well, I should say 18 and up. It's diverse, and we're there being positive, and again, non-judgmental. So this is thinking a little bit and creating that space. I think about my daughter, and I think about all the other kiddos, little girls, and having a space for them as well, where they are part of something. So, servitude. So this is something that also we talk about and we work on in SAME. SAME right now has presents for pets. So this is helping, families that may be animal owners, and they also have food insecurity. So if you are that family, then SAME has started that mission during the holidays of providing food and necessities and basic needs to pets. I know I don't have long, so I want to blog.
You could.
Okay, I blog too. So
I have a hook.
okay, thank you. I have a blog, and it's tongue-in-cheek at times, but again, it's just talking about what life is like as a special needs mom. And the reason I do so much of this is it gives so much information in the process and so much perspective. So, I'm not one of those people that if you don't have the information, then, no, that's what I'm trying to do, is just get the information out in a really, kind of low-stress way. And one of the things that I can say has been amazing with SAME is how many caregivers have come to me and maybe asked me questions. And it's important that they don't feel any shame to that, right? Or sometimes they've even apologized because they've said things and now they realize, and now they're a little bit more mindful that maybe that was offensive. It was not. I have not been offended yet through SAME. Anyways. So what does it mean to be inclusive? I talked a little bit about that. It's not having a subgroup. That was really important to me. I didn't want to be that. Why is it important for children? It's really important to have these type of inclusive communities, and then children grow up with it naturally, right? It's a natural thing, and it doesn't feel like if someone's playing separately on the playground or not playing at all on the playground, they then begin to become empowered, and they have the tools, all right? They have the tools to help other friends out. Obviously, it's great for all caregivers. It's great for all community members, and of course, individuals with different abilities. So looking forward, next fall, we have this on the radar. Despite where we are right now, we're still optimistic, and we're focusing on the academy. So we really want to be able to serve more children, more families, and we're looking to find a new space for that. And one of the other components to that is spiritual accessibility. So it's also, a passion, and if you follow my blog, I talk a little bit about this and how people with special needs are often on the fringes, unfortunately, and it's not necessarily conducive to the way that spirituality can be delivered for them. Maybe the actual facilities aren't conducive for them. Maybe if it's a really quiet kind of congregation and you have someone that has an outburst, there isn't the information in the actual congregation for that. So I talk a lot about that, and I'm really passionate about that. So my daughter, she has a Bible, we have a nativity scene, we do our prayers, we do all this stuff. And one of the big parts with being on the spectrum sometimes is a comprehension challenge. But it's not, it doesn't stop me, right? It can't stop. So I talk about that, and I talk about how I make it understandable for her, right? Through play and through conversation and that type of thing. And that is a part of the academy that I would like to offer if families are interested, is would you like that accessibility? Would you like time to come together in prayer with your other fellow classmates? All right. Awareness and acceptance. So I talked about knowledge and empathy, and I have passion, so that makes me a triple threat. How does our community celebrate Autism Awareness Month? I don't know that. Does anyone know? No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. They put up purple things or something.
Close.
What?
Close. They put up yellow lights.
Well, yellow lights. Sorry.
Yellow lights. That's right. So blue is not the actual color of Autism Awareness Month. That is a misconception. There actually is not a specific color. It's the spectrum for a reason. So it's actually quite often symbolized with a spectrum of colors, right? So Auburn celebrates it, Cayuga County celebrates it with yellow lights. This past April, unfortunately due to COVID, we could not have our proclamation, but the year prior we have. We've done yellow wreaths as well to promote inclusion, is essentially what it is. And so when this April comes around, and you see the yellow lights, and if I'm knocking at anyone's door with a yellow wreath, you'll know what's going on. So the importance of this initiative is, and it's close to the back page, but it's actually a picture of myself and Temple Grandin. And 1 in 20 children have a disability. I actually think that's not even accurate. I think it's even more. That gives 19 kids a daily opportunity to learn about diversity, collaboration, inclusion, and friendship. And I'm going to show this little picture of my little girl here. Yeah, I know, right? So, and this is a quote by Audrey Hepburn. As you grow older, you will discover that you have 2 hands. Because we are coding it out today, aren't we? One for helping yourself and the other for helping others.
Nice.
So that is a little bit about SAME, a little bit about my mission, a little bit about my passion, what I'm trying to do for our community, and I open it up to if anyone has any questions. Yes.
You talked about the special needs community and talk about the autism community.
Yes.
What is there? Can you tell us what those 2 factors, their reaction to your business encompassing everything?
Positive. You know, so often it's, I talk about the subgroups and so forth, but so often it's finding a safe space that tends to be just isolated to the special needs community, but we don't, right? We want to be embraced and we want to be involved, and we don't want to be, you know, the stigma goes beyond our loved ones to us, you know, and the judgment can even go to us, you know, are we, you know, parenting it, you know, in a good way, in a bad way, and, you know, if you see us out in public and you don't have the information, oh, you're a bad parent, or oh, your child is poorly behaved, or, you know, you're not disciplining correctly, you know, so forth. So I've been embraced by the special needs community, and because they want to be part of the world, right? They want to be part, and they want to be seen. So yeah, it's been positive. It's been really, really positive. Yes.
I think I've seen either a piece about it, or I thought it was even a commercial where pets have really helped them kind of tone down their outbreaks or whatever. And is that part of what you promote?
Well, I have a huge love of animals, and we have a rescue dog that, you know, the kids know, the kids love, and yes, it is. The catch with these types of pets is that, unfortunately, to be certified, they're very costly. So for a lot of families, it's really not empowering. The animal and the strategy and the therapy, oh yeah, absolutely. It's beyond, you know. And, you know, for, you know, my daughter, I work on, you know, having her pet the dog. You know, that's a sensory exploration. Having her be kind to the dog. You know, a lot of times, you know, with my daughter, she doesn't necessarily know, am I being too rough, am I being too soft? It's not an intention thing, right? So she works through that. When the dog barks, you know, all these type of things that, you know, we can integrate in our bodies and in our brains, and she can't. So these dogs are amazing. And yeah, because animals have a sixth sense, right? They can tell when someone's starting to get anxious, and that's what these meltdowns, this is what I say. You know, she's in crisis. People are in crisis when they have a meltdown. It's not a tantrum. It's not, you know, they're beyond that. It's like the worst panic attack you've ever had. Think of that, that's what a meltdown is. It's not a fun feeling at all. And that's why, you know, they appear to be out of control because they feel it, right? They feel it. So the dogs are really good for that. And I've even heard cats.
Yeah.
I have heard the cats too.
I think, now that I thought about it, I think the girl that I saw, what calmed her was a cat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because cats don't make as much noise as dogs.
That is correct.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
correct. They're less intimidating, right? They're smaller animals. I have seen that, and again, having our rescue dog has been invaluable. And it also teaches kindness for the other kids as well, right? So learning to be nice to Opie is important, and you know, all that type of good stuff. So, yes.
You called it a business, and I see the services going out, but I'm not seeing, how do you actually support that?
So we are for profit. We are not a 501. So far we have been, you know, very blessed to have been able to support all of the services going out. I also have a donation-based model, so give what you can, give what you will. And that really, no one has been misleading with that. So, you know, if a family really can only donate such and such, then that's what they can donate. And I've had scholarship funds as well, which has also helped.
So are you subscription based?
Yeah, membership based.
Okay.
I am now. When I first started, I was not. I learned real quick.
Yeah.
I learned quickly to be able to meet those overhead costs. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that piece wasn't, okay, that makes sense.
Any other question?
Does insurance, you take insurance?
I do not take insurance,
Oh.
so like you can't bill through me in
Okay.
that way, no. But certain agencies, you know, I can work with them, and we can do billing that way. Yeah, we do that.